Hey guys, Kyle the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for Eden Zero, Chapter 112. Okay, so before I get into anything major about the chapter, let's take a moment to talk about Shiki reaching out his hand of friendship to his former enemies, only to get fairly but brutally rejected at every turn. And yeah, I'll be honest, I got way too much enjoyment out of that, mainly because it feels like such a self-aware rejection on Mashima's part of all the friendship tropes he's used in the past, and honestly, even just the whole friendship trope in general that's been used in Shonen. But even taking that out of the equation, just on a base logical level, yeah, these guys are by technicality have been your long have been enemies for were kind of your enemies, Shiki. So and I guess longtime enemies, depending on your perspective. But so they're not just gonna get all cozy with you because of your immediate willingness to bear the hatchet. Plus, people tend to hold grudges for one reason or another, Shiki, and those take much longer to forgive. And in your case, I think they're and in your case, Shiki, just the fact that you and the Starshines defeated them, that's definitely going to be a little bit of a punch in the gut to the pride. So yeah, after doing that, I don't think they're going to be as willing to join in order to accept like the hand of friendship, bro. Trust me. Um, and now it's within this very same conversation though that we get the reveal that part of the deal part of the deal that Prince Laguna had made with Witch was that he'd stay with them until he found a planet in the Aoi cosmos to settle on in order to avoid getting arrested by the government, which makes sense. Which makes sense honestly. I mean the guy again. I need to remind you the guy is technically a criminal, so it makes sense he would want a place in which he could just kind of like lay low and just kind of and live his life. But at the same time, it's it's debatable on at the same time it is kind of debatable on basically how realistic that can be, especially especially considering what's happened in this chapter. But depending on how but at the same time, what we also learned in this chapter, depending on how things go from here, he might just get his wish. I mean, with with the planet we get introduced to, this could very well end up being the place that he basically like he chooses to kind of call home from this point on. Like I said, depending on what happens to the planet itself, mind you. Um, with that said, this chapter progressed us quite a bit with seemingly everyone we've come to know in the story thus far, as well as a whole lot of new faces, pretty much converging on the planet Foresta. And just for Mashima making a note to tell us that Foresta is a neutral planet, not only immediately adds increased tension going forward, but assuming how I think the laws are going to work on this planet, and with so many opposing forces gathered in this one place, the dynamics are going to be very interesting thing are going to be a very interesting thing to pay attention to here, just from the fact that they'll probably be unable to directly oppose each other, i.e. no fighting. So it's not only going to force everyone to think smarter, but and but and the and but add the increased tension to like 100-fold, as well as adding the increased tension to like 100-fold. I think an expectation we can have is that we should probably expect a lot of battle lines a lot of battle lines are going to be drawn in this next arc, whether or not it's them like officially fighting or whatnot, whether it's like them like butting heads, fighting, whatever else. There is going to be an aspect here where I think, but when it comes to how this arc ends, I very much believe that battle lines are going to be drawn in the sand as to who's gonna, as to where each of them fight. Like I think with Shiki and with Shiki and with Shiki and with Shiki, it's probably going to be like him. It's going to be him and probably Elsie just kind of just drawing just like pretty much drawing battle lines against side Nero and possibly and with this chapter I also assume that possibly even maybe even the government like temporarily forming an alliance with Elsie and Shiki and the Eden Zero crew. But I don't know, like there's so many ways in which the dynamics can go with this that practically that the dynamics can go with this that anything is possible really. Um, but either and and but especially considering that Poseidon Nero's men are already on the planet, it's like it's one of those things where well, it doesn't matter as to what happens. Like shit is going to hit the fan real fast, and things are guaranteed to go crazy. And the thing is, like, I don't think it's. And the thing is, I don't think that the dynamics of this, like how the dynamics are going to be set up in this chapter, I don't think it's just limited to like one group opposing the other. I think it's. I think it is going to be where we're going to see a little bit of internal struggle, I think, as well. So, like, yeah, like the dynamics right now are endless. They're crazy, and they're kind of and right now Mashima's going kind of insane right now with this setup. Um, that being that being said, though, so the thing that being the case, though, we also learned that the reason for the Eden Zero crew being on Foresta is training, and for Shiki to unlock a lot more of his Ether Gear's power, which, yeah, after having awakened his overdrive, the possibilities are really kind of endless on that one. And if you really look at Shiki's arms in this chapter when he activates it, the patterns have changed. So whatever he's going to learn, it might also like pretty much take his base power to the next level in order to in order to make it as powerful as his overdrive, which I think is necessary because for as powerful as Shiki's overdrive is for as powerful as overdrive as Shiki's overdrive is, he does have to learn. He does have to adapt and learn to fight in situations without it. And I think that that's the one thing we can draw from this particular battle. I think is that he's going to learn in order to how to control in order how to better have a stronger use of his base power rather than with maybe overdrive getting stronger by the process as well. Now, the big question I've got is that basically with the original master of these Magimech arts being dead, what exactly is the alternative? Like the only thing I can think of is that from Zenolith might have left behind some notes or instructions on how to master his abilities, but yeah, it's kind of one of those things where I am wondering what exactly is going to be the situation here. How is Shiki going to get stronger without a master? So yeah, to teach him. On that note, let's talk about Elsie, because obviously the thing on her end is how we learned she's not only known all along that Jesse was a spy, but also that for every move he thought that the Union Army was a step ahead of her, we come to find out she's been pulling reverse moves and made it to where Jesse couldn't leak a damn thing to them, and that the only reason they found her to begin with is because she let it happen. Like, and everything I just said is a fucking power move on her part, which I love. But it also gives us a lot of characterization to her that even when someone betrays her, she's still willing to offer up the hand of camaraderie to them and give them the option to join her as not only a crew member but as an equal. And this shows just how much being with Ziggy and the Four Starshines had really formed her beliefs and ideals. In fact, when you look at Elsie in this chapter, she and Shiki do share a lot in common, while at the same time showing there is an interesting contrasting difference of experience and how both of them approach extending that hand of friendship. And with the introduction of Elsie's personal guard, Shoga and Gawain, it adds the idea of what we've already known about Elsie, which is that for as strong as she is, a lot of that strength does still come from her reliance and trust in others to do what she can't. And in that sense, I guess there's an interesting comparison to make to Luffy, but at the same time, I think that is just such an interesting dynamic in general because it shows that strength doesn't always have to come from the individual. It can come from others as well. Now, before I end this review, I do want to mention Weiss's growing distrust of Drac and Joel's old team, who are now like on the Eden Zero ship, because obviously he'd be the one to have a grudge which is not would have the grudge that's not easy to let go of. But going off what I said about Foresta being a neutral planet, that's definitely going to add to the dynamics in the sense of where we're probably going to see that distrust continuously grow and cause a bit of a rupture with the Eden Zero group, well, all pretty much on the planet. Because more specifically though, Weiss might try and find ways to kill them while on the planet. I think that's probably what we're going to see here. But yeah, guys, that's all I got for this review. Oh yeah, and quick before I mention, Poseidon Nero's men are just, again, they're wacky designs. They're just great designs. I love these guys. I especially like the guy with the like top hat. Like that's some Joker level shit right there. But yeah, guys, that's all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and Illustrator Control. That Night signing off. Later, guys.